Hi everyone, it's Nancy McNally of NancyMcNallyQuilts.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to work on another one of my single quilt block video tutorials. Today's quilt block is River Rock Star. Quick story, I'm going to tell you all about how I came up with the name. Now I know this block has another name, but my friend Diane was over, and if you read my blog you'll find out. And when she saw the fabrics that I'm using, when she saw the star block come together, she said it reminded her of when you go down to the river and you see all the rocks at the bed of the river. You know, here in Michigan, we have a lot of water. Here in Michigan, we are known as the Great Lake State. Now, if you're wondering what fabric line this is Bumbleberries by Lewis and Irene, and I will get a little closer so you can have a better picture of it. It's very beautiful fabric, very, very pretty, very soft. All right, so before we get started on our quilt block, let's talk about a couple things that you're going to need. You're going to need a fabric marking ink pen. Also, we are working with bias today, so use your favorite spray starch. This is what I use, and I absolutely love it. I also like to use my Alphabetes labels. I love these. They help keep me organized. So if you have those, grab them. And thread, scissors, and of course, all our pieces and parts for our quilt block. Now, excuse me, you can grab from your scrap bin, or you can use fat quarters and fat eighths to complete the River Rock Star block. All right, prepare your fabric before you cut it. Prepare it with spray starch, please. I can't stress this enough. So before we get started, I wanted to talk about one more thing. We're going to be making what's known as a square and a square, and we're going to use the stitch and flip method. So now when I use the stitch and flip method, I take off my 1/4 inch foot and I use my open toe foot, okay? And that way I can see clearly where I need to sew at. You're going to need to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner on your E square. So I've already done that, just one corner to one corner, one diagonal line. That's all you need to do. So let's get started on that. And I have this cardboard here. If you've never seen me use this before, oftentimes when we're trying to draw that diagonal line on our fabric will slip and slide, or the pen will not, it just drags the fabric. So if you have a piece of cardboard where you can set your fabric square on top of it, this acts like a grip for it so that your fabric will just stay still and you can write. So I always have this handy. All right, let's get started. We're going to take our E squares and our C square, and we're going to use those first. I'm just going to move these around a little bit so I have a little room. These are all my B triangles that I prepared with fabric starch first. All right, so I have my C and my E. Don't forget your thread scissors. Use matching thread, use a neutral thread, and I'm going to use a 2.0 stitch length. Okay, let's move the A's out of the way too. There we go. All right, so we have our C square. I have it facing right side up, and I'm going to place my first E square in one of the corners. Just start with one of the corners. It doesn't matter because we're going to go this corner to this corner, and then we'll finish those, and then we'll move to these two corners. So we're always going to work on the opposite diagonal from each other. So align them right sides together, raw edge or cut edge to cut edge, and we are now going to stitch directly on that drawn line. If you use a fabric pen or something to mark, whatever you're using to mark your fabric, if it draws a thick line, instead of stitching directly on the line, go to the right of the line and stitch beside the edge of the drawn line, because the thick line will take up what you need when we flip the triangle in place, because this portion of the square, which will become a triangle, will need to line directly up with the outer edge. I'm going to go ahead and set my iron up, and I've attempted to bring my iron over here, and we're going to see how it works. Okay, So if you need to place a pin in this to hold it secure, go right ahead. All right, let's get started on sewing. Now I have a thin line, so I'm going to stitch directly on the line. And if you can, you might be able to see this red light. It's kind of reddish pinkish. It's my laser light to help guide to sew a straight line. It comes on the machine, or comes with the machine. Okay. So I'm going to show you. I sewed, oh, don't fall. I sewed directly on the line. And now, before I cut this away, I'm going to pull the triangle over and make sure that once I press it, it lines up directly with the cut edge, and it does. So before I move on to sewing the next one, I'm going to trim this one off and press. So you're going to take your ruler and you're going to take the 1/4 inch line and line it up with your stitched line, the line you just stitched, and you're going to trim off. Now, this is a large piece, and I can make 1/4 square triangles out of this. And if you want, you can make a 1/2 square triangle out of it. For the moment, I'm going to put it to the side. So for the next step, you're going to set the seam with the iron, and there. See how easy that was? This is how you make triangle corners. Now let's move on to the next one. So we're not going to move over here. We're going to go diagonally across. Do the same thing. You're going to line this up. Edges all lined up, and the diagonal seam runs from center to center. We do not put it on the corner of our quilt block. Make sure you don't put it in the wrong spot, because you'll be surprised. It's going to be it won't be good. All right, so we're going to stitch here to here. Once I do this, I'm going to repeat the process, how I trimmed this one off and pressed it, and I'm going to do this corner and then this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this done, and I'll meet you back here in just a moment to show you the finished center square. So I have my center completed. Now we're going to move on to the next step. Now it's time to join our D square to our cream B triangles. These are very easy to sew together. You're going to align this corner of the triangle to that corner of your green square. Go right sides together and then join. We're going to open, and then we're going to press towards our cream color fabric, our triangle. All right, now place it back on your cutting mat. You're going to align that tip to that tip. Go right sides together and join. Open and press. Your two triangles should run, you should have a straight line running all the way across. Well, there we go, running. When you lay it on a mat, it's easier. So you'll have a straight line, and you'll have the little triangles coming out from behind, and we will trim those. You can either trim those with your rotary cutter, or you can trim those with scissors, whatever you prefer. But don't trim them until you can get this straight line. So if you don't have a straight line, then go back and double check how you aligned your triangle to the square, or check your seam allowance. Okay, trim those off just like that. You'll make 4 of these, 1 for each star point, and then next we're going to join the remaining part of our star points, blue 1 and blue 2. I have the excuse me, I have the lighter blue on top as the top part or the tip part of the star point. So now we're going to go right sides together with matching our star points. I suggest you lay them out like this. There is a left and a right. You do not sew them in the same order because there is a left and a right. So these are directional. Oops. Okay. So now we're going to take the right side, the right-hand side, and we're going to go right sides together, aligning corner to corner and cut edge to cut edge. Now, you can press these open if you would like. For these, I press them towards the light colored triangle. For these star points, I'm going to press them towards the dark. Again, if you prefer to press open, then go right ahead. So set your seam first and then open. You can also finger press these if you'd like, but I suggest you make sure that they lay flat and continue to use the iron. All right, we will join these in just a moment. Now, we're going to go right sides together again, align this corner with that corner, and align the cut edge. Now, here's what I do, because this is the side of seam, this is the side that we're going to sew. Instead of leading this way, going in this way, leading with the triangle tip, if that bothers you, here's what I would suggest. All right, I'm going to place it back the way it was. If I can get them separated. Place it this way. Okay, that's the way it was. Go right sides together. Align. Take a pin or a clip and put it in the side of the triangle that you need to sew. And this is the side that we would be joining. So in order to not sew the triangle edge first and put that under your foot first, flip it over and you can start with the corner. And then we're going to press towards the dark. Our next step is we are going to align these and join them, and you will need to make 4 right star points and 4 left star points. Now let's join our left and right star points to our center to complete them. So we're going to go right sides together. Now, I'm going to start with the right-hand side one. You're going to align those seams, butt those seams right up against each other. I suggest you use a pin to hold them in place. Triangles have a mind of their own, and they will move. Next, we're going to align these 2 edges right here, and it should be tip to tip right here. And I'm going to place a pin in it to keep them aligned. Do the same down here. I'd rather do this than rip the stitches because the center didn't line up. Now I'm going to double check that center. They are butt up against each other. I know it's, here, I'll do it this way so you can see. Whoops. Well, it helps if you line them up. There. They're lined up together. Okay, let me put that back together. Hope I didn't mess that up. You don't have to use 3 pins. It just gives me a little more confidence. Okay, let's get this one sewn. And there we go. All right, I'm going to press this. You're going to repeat that on all 4 of the right sides. And next, we're going to do the left side. Do the same thing. So lay it back down, and we're going to align those right sides together. And again, I'm going to use a pin, several pins, to keep them aligned. Sorry, I'm doing that off camera. There we go. Sometimes I forget you can't see what I can see. Okay, line up this edge. I don't pull the triangles, even though they've been sprayed with spray starch. I still do not pull and tug at them because they can still possibly stretch on you if you did not use enough starch. Okay, now let's get this sewn. Ta-da! Very good. All right, give it a press, and we can call these done. You're going to make 4 to complete the block. Don't forget to trim off all the little extras, and before you trim, look at this seam look at this seam right here and make sure you have a 1/4 inch from this intersection to the outer portion. If you do not, flip to the back and see if you misaligned anything. Go ahead and fix it now before you start constructing the block, as in pulling everything together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. I don't need them. Oopsie. I'll get these last 2 over here. And if you're curious what rotary cutter I'm using, I use the ergonomic Martelli rotary cutter for right hand. Red is right hand, blue is left hand. All right, make 4, and now it's time to pull the quilt block together. I have everything laid out. I have my A squares in the corners. Now your star points, they're going to be the same length as your center part of the square. You're going to pull this all together just like you would a 9 patch. You're going to sew these 2 together, these 2 together, these 2 together, and then you can add this one, and this one. I'm going to get mine joined, pressed, and I'll be right back here to show you the finished star block. All right, I have my rows sewn together, and now we're going to join top row to the center and then the bottom to the center, and the block will be done. Thank you for joining me today for the River Rock Star Quilt Block tutorial. You can download the PDF quilt pattern at nancymcnallyquilts.com/shop. The link is in the description box below. If you would like to see more quilting tutorials, please subscribe by clicking the red bell below. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day quilting.